I wasn't super optimistic in a strong breakout just because of that stall, so I went ahead and took profits on the first pop. I sold at 60. Now we're at 75. Let's see how this continues. Morning traders, welcome back. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Alex, are you going to be talking about the MACD indicator that Ross Cameron recently mentioned in his last video? Please, please, please. And I am. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. So good news for you and also double good news for you. I tested it today and I'll talk a little bit about my thoughts on the MACD indicator. Now, unfortunately today, it just wasn't that exciting. So I made some profits pre-market and then I pretty much spent everything post like 8:30 just slightly giving back profits. Actually more than slightly. I gave back like a third of my profits, which is a little bit always annoying way to end the day, but it is what it is. You know, if we just go to my stats really quickly here, my risk reward was really nice. My total winners was really nice. My profit margin was, you know, better than average, so that's pretty good. It is a green day after all, but last two trades were red, unfortunately, and I didn't size up as aggressively as I should have. My biggest trade was only $8.6 thousand when I really should have been sizing up on SSNT. There was much better opportunities on it. And you'll see here my running P&L how, you know, I kind of made some profits. I was up at like 6:30 today at the best, and then, you know, we sold off, or I sold off and just gave back, so that was a little bit frustrating. But let's talk about these opportunities and how I went about trading them using a little bit more of the MACD that Ross is talking about. So if you guys don't know, Warrior Trading right here, probably one of the biggest channels in terms of day trading momentum, small caps in the USA. Really, really good information you can get out of this channel. And it was this video right here, came out 23 hours ago, and I watched the whole thing, and it's basically this indicator right here. This is the MACD indicator, and he overlaid the two. And we didn't have the option to do that on TD Ameritrade, so I'll show you how I went ahead and did that. But basically, let me just make this big screen. In a nutshell, if it's hard to see a little bit, but if the green is going up here, we're on a classic front side. I mean, this is exactly what we always talk about, you know, 5-minute front side, 1-minute front side, both above the 9 EMA, more or less is what we're looking for. So this kind of helps us identify that trend. I was a little bit nervous in the Discord to begin with. I wrote, because I posted this video in our Discord as well. I was like, is anyone using this? And some people asked me what my thoughts were, and I basically said, I'm nervous there's going to be too much noise. And that's, you know, usually the case when you add another indicator on your screen. Let's quickly look at this again. So here, ranging. So no, you don't want to trade the range, but all of a sudden it breaks out. The green's back above, and now it does a nice little rally here. You just want to be a little bit careful because the green's probably going to pop up a few times and you're not really going to know. So it is, in the end, a trailing indicator. So if you just do price and volume, it's always the best. It's always the best. Now, what I realized using the MACD is it gave me an additional confirmation, which I actually really liked, especially near the end of the move. Actually, that's where I found the most value in it. I had it on my second screen, so I wasn't always looking at it, but after I had like my own thoughts, like, it feels like we're in the range, let me see if we are, and then boom, it confirmed that. So that was actually really nice. Ross also talks about a few other ways to go about using the MACD, and there was a really good point he made here, I think it was, where, you know, once you have these little fake out breakouts, usually what we always say in the Discord is you look to your left, is it faking out? Is there resistance above? Or is there price action here? You want to be careful because you're not on a clean front side. Basically, if you look to your left, you shouldn't see anything. And then we're, you know, on that new all-time high, potentially blue sky setup, depending on the daily, and that's really where the most momentum is, and that's where you can get the best front sides. So here, if you look to the left, there's choppy price action. That's not good. And look at the MACD is red, and it's really unexciting here. So that's an additional confirmation. So if you forget, it's good to use this MACD, and it kind of feels like a little bit like trading wheels. So I would probably recommend it for a lot of people getting started. But let's look a little bit more about how I used it. So I went ahead, SSNT was the first SSNT. This was the first ticker to pop up. Unfortunately, it died off, so I wasn't able to continue trading it. But here, I got this nice little front side, and this was actually pretty pleasurable to trade. That's a weird word to describe it, but it was nice. It was a solid, consistent front side here. I was in the flow on it. 5-minute was looking good. Volume was not great. So that was a little bit iffy, and I think the only thing that probably kept me from sizing up was the volume, but the support held really well, and you can really feel the buyers the whole way through, so that was really good. Now let's look at SSNT on this chart, And here you will see the MACD that I have set up. Now, first, I want to quickly show you guys which I did set up is go to Edit Study, and then if you just type in MACD, I basically added all these MACDs and saw like which ones would actually work. It was really the histogram and the histogram crossover. The crossover is here for the top. It kind of indicates when there's a positive to red movement. So right here, there is that positive to red movement. So it indicates that. I figured that'd be more important because I'm pretty comfortable getting the breakouts and the continuations, but you want to kind of know when that move is over. I felt like that was maybe more important. You could also just remove the arrows. That's also totally fine. This is again the screen I had, or this is the chart I had on my second screen. So this was not my main screen, and I didn't want to focus on it too much. I didn't want to get paralysis through analysis. I just used it as a confirmation window at the end of my trading, or in the middle of my trade. So, and then again here on the lower, here's the MACD histogram. I'll just show you guys the settings really fast. I have the show breakout signals. Again, that's the arrows here, and everything else is pretty much default. I didn't go ahead and change anything. Now on these, let's zoom into this zone again. This is really the spot we're looking at. You can see that it has a green arrow here as we started breaking higher. I obviously didn't trade this one till much later, and again, the reason for that is because there is not any tradable volume here at this point. So you still got to know what you're doing. You still got to know the strategy. But still, you saw a nice little buy indicator. So that, again, is that confirmation that, oh, okay, maybe there really is something here. The interesting part is actually there's a bit of divergence. The price goes up and the MACD goes down right here. So it was a little bit maybe kind of sketchy in this zone. This is actually the one trade I didn't use the MACD on. I didn't add it yet by the time this one popped up, because this one popped up pretty much at 7 a.m. when I first started trading, and I didn't set it up yet. So I got some nice little moves here, but you'll see right here, I did my last trade. It didn't work out, so I closed it. And then right here, we actually got the indicator that the trend was over. And then this ticker started to range and then go on the backside. So really interesting. I got a note there. So that actually worked out perfectly. Now let's go to the next ticker. What is that? We got CLWT, and this was a tough ticker to trade for sure. I ended up giving back profits on it right at the end, which was a little bit frustrating. And let's actually look at how this one looks on with the MACD. So first, I traded it here in this area. This one popped up a little bit later, 725. It didn't have a lot of volume, so that's actually why I didn't trade it pre-market. 50,000 shares, this is a tiny amount of volume. So I think this would be way more interesting in the future once we get a little bit more volume. So I'll definitely do another MACD video in the future once I have a little bit more experience trading this one. But I want to give you guys my first feedback on it, because I know a lot of you guys were talking about this in the Discord today, and I'm quite curious about it myself. So yeah, volume starts kind of fading here. So we're getting that divergence again, higher price, lower MACD. I did my last trade here. This was actually a nice little green one. And then all of a sudden here, we got that indicator that the move is over. So kind of interesting as well. Let's see. Consolidation, range, not so exciting. Eventually we get a 5-minute breakout and a 1-minute pullback. I actually identified this one on my 5-minute chart, which is right up here. So I have 3 charts that I look at. They're all pretty much kind of saying similar things. They're all really not fancy. So this is just a 5-minute time frame. So when I went to CLWT, this was the 5-minute breakout above VWAP. That's why I actually ended up trading this one. I did notice though, boom, there was an indicator here, but this indicator actually popped up below VWAP. So I'm usually not trading below VWAP. Kind of interesting though. Side note. Now it does start its little upward trend here, really solid upwards trend. And then red arrow. Uh-oh, look at that. It breaks VWAP. So right here, I actually took a loss on. And look, there's even that arrow right here at the top that shows that, the trend to the front side trend is over. So it's a really good confirmation if you have no idea if the front side is over or not. I felt like the MACD was a really good help with that. Now, I'm sure it's not going to be 100% accurate. Nothing ever is. So it's still, in the end, it's going to take experience. But maybe even if it's right like 60-70% of the time, I think it could be helpful. Now, you get on the short term, you still get a lot of like these fake out calls where like, it's a little red and then it goes a little green, a little red. Like, so you can't be super focused on it all the time. Obviously, in hindsight, it always looks really amazing. But just know in the moment, it's always much harder to get a proper read on it. Now we get a breakout here on CLWT. I didn't actually trade this one because it was, in my eyes, we were ranging here at this point, and I don't really want to trade the range, even though it was a small little breakout. If you look at the 5-minute, we actually have a breakout here, and this is what I actually start getting interested on this ticker, and I start trading it more aggressively. I did like the fact that there was an additional confirmation, so that maybe helped my confidence a little bit, hard to say. But then this ticker actually ended up dying and going trending to the backside below or before this red arrow really came up. I mean, we were trending below the 9 EMA ahead of time. I actually ended up cutting my losses earlier, and I think by the time this popped up, it was already, you know, near its perfect low before it bounced again. So at least it identified when the front side was over, but still a little tricky here. So that's why I was kind of thinking, like, I think this MACD indicator really helps with that extra confirmation and also understanding maybe where the trend is. Are we still in a nice front side trend, or are we on a backside trend? So that was quite helpful. I gotta say, it was really nice, and I think I'm gonna use it tomorrow, and we'll see going forward. BBBY. I think also one thing that's really important to notice, just remember, is like the volume today was just non-existent. So it was hard to, I would love to see what this looks like on a ticker where that's, you know, really pumping some volume. BBBY, I took a small little trade here and then another trade here. This one failed. If we just look really quickly on how it looks with the MACD. So the first trade was actually okay. It looks like there's already divergence going on here where the price is higher, but this spike is lower. And then right here, where I actually took my loss, we had a red arrow. So boom, again, I gotta say, it's pretty on point with those. And then OSUR, this sucked. I call it out in the Discord, and literally right after I call it out, I actually went for a trade. It flushes. I get an okay entry if this would have held. Like, I thought it was going to be maybe a 5-minute setup and then, you know, like 2 green candles here and then eventually crawl to a new high. That's what I was expecting. But this ticker really took a, you know, poop on us, and that was actually not fun. I think one of my mistakes is I didn't take the time to properly map this one out. I mean, we have huge resistance here at 4, and then I would argue right around like 470, a lot more resistance again, and then maybe a lot of resistance around 440 as well. But, you know, there was still some upside potential for sure. Let's look at how the MACD behaved on this one, and let's see here. So the MACD actually gave us a buy indicator, buy, and then it actually ends up flushing, selling off, and it tells you to sell here actually. So yeah, I think I was able to stop out a little bit earlier, but I don't know, it's hard to say. So what it did well, let's focus on what it did well. It identified the trend was over, and I think that's, again, where it's really nice. I think experience will definitely help you with your entries and exits and all that stuff, but noticing the trend and noticing when the trend is over or the trend changes, I think the MACD was really nice. It's also just really nice. I have this on so I have 4 screens. I'll link the video here to show you guys my setup, but I have a vertical screen to my right, so I have this on my vertical screen here to the right, and it was quite convenient. I actually like looking at it and having that extra confirmation. I mean, a lot of times, you know, trading is all about, actually not a lot of times, trading is all about confidence. You know, you got to get aggressive, especially when you're a momentum trader. You're buying high with the intent of selling higher, so you can't be sitting on your hands, but at the same time, you got to know when to cut losses. So it's about maintaining that confidence, but also having really good risk management. It's really those two things. And the better your risk management is, the better your confidence goes. And I think with this MACD indicator, it will definitely help with both of those things, because you'll probably end up cutting your losses quicker once you notice, ooh, the trend's changed, if you've been maybe a little bit hesitant to cut your losses to begin with. And you might be a little bit more confident to hold longer if the trend is still going and there may be just the start of divergence happening. So I think this is a really interesting indicator, and I can't wait to maybe see how it goes the next few days, especially with more momentum. And I'd be happy to make a follow-up video if you guys are interested, but I'm happy to already share what I've learned with you guys so far. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you then first thing tomorrow morning. Like always, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.